Hello! We're going to do a quick little review of Chapter 2, Basic Photo Corrections, and some of the tools that we used for retouching. And we're going to talk about cropping real quick. So let's go ahead and start with the crop tool. And I want to point out here that when I selected the crop tool, there's the WX HX resolution, and I'm going to click on that. You can see all these different options that you have, many that are built in, but this particular one, which is wonderful, allows you to be in charge and decide exactly what size you want this. So I'm going to say I want this 8 by 10, so I'm tapping in 8 and I'm putting in 10, and I want a high resolution because I'm going to go ahead and get it printed so that I could put it in a standard size 8 by 10 frame. So my choice is going to be 300 dpi. So you can see the corners here, and I can choose the corners, and no matter what size I do here, it's always going to stay to an 8 by 10 ratio. And I can move, so I'm making my selection, and then I'm clicking inside the picture to move it around within the crop. But let's say I kind of want this a little bit on the tighter side, so I can just select my corners and even the side if I want to. So no matter how it's going to crop, it's definitely going to fit with an 8 by 10 at 300 dpi. And when I'm done, I can either click the check mark or just hit the check thing on the top of the menu bar, or just hit return on my keyboard, sometimes twice. So as far as the retouching goes, and that's the crop tool right there. I'm going to do a Command Z on that and do it again, and I'll show you why. So I've still got my 8 by 10 decision here, but maybe I want to straighten this. So if I click on straighten in the crop tool menu bar, I can draw a straight line for how I believe that this picture should be tilted. Or actually, if you've noticed, I've taken my cursor off the side and I get the double-headed arrow. I can actually turn the image within the crop bars so that I can make some decisions about how this thing is tipped or turned or straightened, etc. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm going to crop this. I'm just doing it for the sake of you. I probably would have left it the way that it was, but just so you can see how it works. All right, so I'm going to hit again, just return, and there it is. Now next I'm going to go ahead and use some of the retouching tools, and the first one I'm going to use is nested here with the spot healing brush tool. So you can see when I blow this up that there are going to be some white spots and some lines and things. So I've got my tool, my spot healing brush tool set for content aware, and I'm going to just click and drag slightly over this, not too far. And sometimes I only need to do a single click. I don't even need to do a click and drag, right? But I do have these lines here on her face, so I'm going to go ahead and just click and drag. And it's going to do what's called a proximity content aware, or I could actually choose proximity match. And I can click and I can drag. And so it's going to sample pixels from nearby and fix it for me. Now that didn't look good, so let's go back to the content aware. And so again, it's still seeing content that's nearby, and it's making its best guess in how I want to repair these lines. So I'm just going to do that again and again here till I think it looks good. And in some cases, I'm just clicking once, and I'm not worrying about a straight line, but I have a straight line here in the cat in his fur area. So I'm going to click on that and let it fix. So it looks a lot better. Here's some more on the cat in his chest area. And I'm just deciding how I want to do this, whether I want to do a vertical, draw it vertically or horizontally based on what I think I'm going to get as my proximity. And that was pretty easy. There's some more, of course, but I'm not going to worry about those right now, at least not for the demo, because you can see how it works and then you can try it out yourself. So the next one we're going to do is the patch tool. And I'm just going to draw around something, and I'm going to click inside and I'm going to drag it to an area that I believe is the right tonal range but doesn't have that particular junk in it. So I'm essentially replacing that stuff with an area that it doesn't exist in. So I'm just going to keep drawing around this stuff and moving it to an area so it looks a lot better. Same thing here. Now I can do that on the tree too, this little out of focus tree branch. I'm going to see how close I can get that. I'm getting into her hair area there, so I have to be careful, but it's not too bad. So I'm just going to keep doing that until I think it looks good. Same thing, moving this over here so you can get an idea of how it looks. We're just going to keep on doing it. Now you'll notice that sometimes when you get to an edge, it's not going to look very good. So that might be when you want to move to the clone tool. And here's the clone tool, and this is the menu bar for it. And right now it's set for normal and opacity of 100%. So at 100%, what that means is it's going to duplicate, it's going to copy, clone stamp tool, whatever it is at 100%. In order to activate the clone stamp tool, I'm going to need to hold down the option key, and you can see how this little icon changes, and I'm going to do a click. Now I'm doing it right on the edge because I want to paint that edge in so I have an edge to the tree. And I'm going to move my clone stamp tool repeatedly in order to clone appropriately. I'm also using sort of a soft brush here. You can see that in general brushes I have the soft round chosen with a hardness of 0. And you can alter that as needed. So I've gone back here, I'm clicking again in these areas, I'm doing the option click again to clean up this clone stamp tool. And the best thing that you can do is just to have an experience with the clone stamp tool so you learn how it works. Now every time I want to change my area, because it needs to be near the area so that it looks accurate, I have to redo the option click. And so you can see it changing every time I redo an option click. And I'm going click, 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 click many times, which sometimes is a good idea, sometimes not. In fact, you can see, let me make that a little bit bigger so you can really see it. Up here, where I just went click, click, you see how it's got to repeat? You don't really want that. You don't necessarily want to repeat the same thing over and over again. Sometimes you want it to look more natural, and you have to be really aware. Like, see, this looks repetitive, this looks repetitive. So I'm just going to option click again so I can sample new areas that are nearby, and so make it look like it's not duplicated. Let's go here and do it across. So experiment with this, and just because that's the only way you're really going to get a sense of how it works. And these are ink lines that were drawn on here years and years ago. And so I'm just getting rid of those. I could actually switch back to the spot healing brush tool to fix that actually, and it might be really nice. And it is. That totally worked. It looks great. I can do that a bunch over here. So you're going to pick the tool that's going to work best for you. There isn't necessarily the right tool for the right thing, but once you know how to use these tools, you're going to make a better choice. All right, so that's a quick overview of the clone stamp tool and the spot healing brush and the patch tool. And now I'm just going to do a really brief showing you the burn tool and the dodge tool, and each one of these, they're all nested together along with the sponge tool. Of course, we have a black and white picture, so that does saturation or desaturation for that matter. So here's the dodge tool. If I had some dark areas that I wanted to lighten up, I would make a decision up here in the menu bar between shadows, midtones, and highlights. And shadows does what it says it's going to do. It's going to dodge shadows. Does that look good to me? I don't know. I didn't think so. I just undid it. But really what I wanted to do is I want to dodge the midtones and the whites of her eyes just a tiny bit, just to brighten them up just a tiny bit. That's all. You don't want it to look unnatural. And here even on her teeth, just a tiny bit. And now I'm going to use the burn tool, and I'm going to just burn in these areas that are actually reflections from the photograph when it was shot. Not the original picture, but shooting of the picture. In fact, that little area which you just saw there looks kind of purple, doesn't it? So let's go ahead and use the sponge tool for that. So we can set it for desaturate, and let's desaturate at 50%, which is the default. And I'm just going to pick a slightly larger brush, and I'm just going to paint over it, and it took all that purple out of there. And there might be other colors in there too that you want to remove. Look, there's a slightly blue cast. It's pretty subtle, so you'd have to really be paying attention to this. There's a little blue over here too. And anyway, this picture, which is a very old picture, I think it was shot in the 60s, needs to have a lot of work done to it to make it look natural. But we got rid of some of the big stuff, right?